James Kyson Lee from Hero.
Yeah, this is Jason Mewes.
Hello, this is Abe Sapien.
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Jones. And you are listening to Steve and me and everybody else who gets on this show on the Virtual Chainsaw.
Okay, we're back this week, and this week we've been absolutely floored by who we've been able to talk to. We have Doug Jones. How you doing, Doug?
Hey, I am great. How are you today?
I'm great. And your manager actually put a very real concept to me, a very real comment about how to describe Doug Jones. He said, Doug Jones is probably the most famous person you have never seen.
Well, my mom would differ with you, but yes.
So, Doug, for anyone who's listening and is currently scratching their head saying, who's Doug, why don't you tell them about some of your more recent, say in the last 10 years, some of the work that you're really well known for?
Yeah, well, let's see, the things that I'll think that will be mentioned at my funeral one day as the career-making roles for me are probably start back with Hocus Pocus, that Halloween movie with Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker. I played Billy Butcherson in that.
Yeah.
I was a dead zombie guy that was kind of goofy and his head kept falling off. Then television's Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Ooh,
I did the famous Hush episode.
That's one of the fan favorites, that episode.
Yeah, well, that was, and that I found that out meeting the fans out there in convention land. I've certainly met a lot of Buffy fans that say that Hush was their favorite episode. So I was the lead gentleman of that episode, the lead bad guy that stole everybody's voice.
They were just freaky to look at, those guys.
No, and freaky to play too. It's like, yeah, it was. That was a delicious thing to crawl into. I just loved him, and then watching it, that was the first time that I actually creeped myself out. Like watching myself on TV, it's like, oh, that's gross. What a gross man. So, and then moving on, I imagine that playing Abe Sapien, the blue fish guy in Hellboy, I'll be remembered for quite some time, simply because the franchise keeps going on as well.
Great movie, that one.
Thank you. Yeah, that was one of my favorite characters ever. I just loved Abe, and of course just finished up the voice, voicing him for the 2 animated features that we've done so far, and also the video game. So that keeps, and we're starting shooting Hellboy 2 at the end of May. Now
you didn't voice Abe in the first movie, did you?
That's correct. I did on set. I did, of course, had delivered all his dialogue, but then they had plans to have a celebrity voiceover, which was done by David Hyde Pierce from the hit TV show Frasier.
Niles.
Niles, that's right. And he's a lovely guy and a very good actor. I loved what he did, but I also did not enjoy seeing half of my performance taken away.
Oh, of course.
You know, I've never been shy about saying that out loud. And I love David Hyde Pierce, and he was very much a gentleman to not take a credit in the film. He didn't have. I fully expected that he would, but it was his choice to not steal thunder away from me, which was very gentlemanly of him.
Yeah.
He didn't show up to the premiere. He didn't do any interviews or press over this. It was he kind of like faded away.
That could have been something very big for him too.
Well, it could have been, and for him to go that route was just very, very kind of him.
Very noble of him.
And I didn't expect that. Yeah. So when it came time to do the animated features, he politely declined doing the voice for that. So that's when they came to me and just gave it to me, and that kind of helped establish my voice in the character. So that when we do Hellboy 2: The Golden Army, I will be doing the voice as well in that, and hopefully the fans will be familiar with me enough by then my sound. That when I do the voice of Abe, I kind of affected a Niles Crane sort of thing anyway. So it's like we're not that far apart.
So can you actually give us a sample of maybe a line or something?
Oh gosh, let me give you a line from the first movie.
Okay, that's fine.
My favorite line of dialogue, and I think that some of your listeners will appreciate this one, is when my last scene in Hellboy was in the healing tank playing with my Rubik's Cube.
Ah, yes.
And I was kind of floating upside down, and Selma Blair, playing Liz Sherman, was outside the glass looking at me, and she was saying, "What should I do about Hellboy, I mean?" And I responded with, "I'm not much of a problem solver. 3 decades, I've only completed 2 sides, but I do know this much. If there's trouble, all us freaks have is each other.
That is superb.
And it's very true, isn't it? All us freaks have is each other.
Yeah. That's...
Oh, precious.
I just love how they've written Abe. I just think he's great. It's very straightforward. There doesn't seem to be any crap about him.
Yeah, no, he's a very intelligent being. He reads 4 books at a time. He also has a lot of heart.
I remember that.
He doesn't show much emotion, but he does have a big heart, and he's kind of a calming influence. With Hellboy being like the one who blasts through walls with his fist. Abe is the one who's more of a calmer, and I appreciate that. And between Ron Perlman and I, we kind of do have those personalities anyway.
How is it?
I'm sorry.
How is it? Say, like when you break for lunch or something. Do you all just sit around in your costumes eating, or? Well,
by the time lunchtime comes, you've been answering questions about, hey, what's that makeup feel like? Oh, it must be hot in there. Oh, wow, can you see? When you've dealt with that all day, when at lunchtime comes, you really kind of want to go back to your own trailer and just kind of be alone for a while you chew.
Yeah.
You've got to have some me time, or you'll have nothing left for when the camera rolls.
Yeah, no, I just imagine it'd look rather odd, if you stumbled onto a set that you didn't know what it was and you looked through a trailer window.
Wait, what's going on here, right? There's a demon, there's a fish, what is that? Yeah, I know, but...
You've stumbled onto the new Sesame Street.
I think so, right. For adults. And speaking of for adults, and I'll move on to my more recent iconic work that I can use the word icon not in a puffed up sort of way, but this is what I've been told, that Pan's Labyrinth has taken on a whole iconic sort of status, and I was privileged enough to be able to play the character of Pan, or the Faun, and also the Pale Man in that movie, and I think both of those characters will follow me around for the rest of my life. And I hope so, because I just love them.
I got to watch that the other day, and I honestly don't think in the last few years I have seen a movie that was shot as Guillermo. The way he shot that movie, it looked authentic. I've seen a lot of movies that try for that, not so much the Spain period, Germany and England, things like that, where you can tell they're movies that are striving to say, we're big budget movies, look, we're back in time, But something about Pan's Labyrinth, did they actually build that whole, the building, everything, or was they actually custom?
Yeah. The outpost, that the captain was living in, and that little Ophelia and her mother came to join him at. That was built from the ground up out in the forest of Segovia, Spain.
Jesus.
And that included the labyrinth that I lived in, was also built from the ground up.
Yeah?
In the backyard of that house. So it was that was quite a labor of love for all of us. The entire budget of that movie, it looked like a multi-bajillion-dollar movie.
Oh,
but
it does.
It came in at about $15 million, which is very, very cheap for a movie of that size.
Well, the thing that I was amazed with was the Faun is one of the most convincing human-animal hybrids I've seen on screen.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that he's about 90% practical.
Yes, he's all, mostly what you see was worn by me and on set, moving around. The only CG or computer graphics that were used in the Faun character were to wipe away part of my lower leg.
Yeah.
The legs were that wacky little Z sort of shape, and in order to get that shape to happen, they built a prosthetic piece that went backward from my knee back, and then took the sharp turn to go back down under my foot.
Yeah.
So they wiped away my feet, my shins, my calves, up to my knees, with a green screen color wrapped around my legs. That's it. And then also the eyes, every so often, if they blinked all the way, that would be a CG effect. But they were able to squint by the puppeteers that were built into the head.
Ah.
So with the mechanics that were built into the head. So that was quite a feat. And that's old school filmmaking, and it's something that I cherish and love. I love being able to make a character happen like that, practically and on set, as opposed to all CG in post or whatever.
Well, Guillermo seems...
There is a...
Sorry?
I'm sorry. Yeah, Guillermo loves that too, yes.
I don't know. I was going to say that Guillermo seems to be a rare sort of filmmaker who just seems to like to do everything from the ground up. It's hard to describe what I mean, but a lot of cases you'd probably get a lot of US directors. If you had pitched that to... I mean, I imagine he might have, but I imagine there'd be a few US directors who probably would have said, can we do the Fawn CG? You know?
Oh, totally, yeah. But the good part about Guillermo del Toro is that he has a background in creature effects makeup. That's how he started in Mexico.
Yeah?
He had his own company, yeah. So he appreciates that whole art form. And you know, I really don't want to poo-poo the computer graphics world, because the work they do is also amazing. And what's nice now is that you can create characters on film that, with practical effects and visual effects added later, that we can create things now that we could never have before.
Of course.
So yeah, but I still like to see. For me, I like to be a guy in a costume and makeup, and I like to watch guys in costumes and makeup so that I can connect with a personality. And I don't feel myself, as an audience member, always able to connect with a completely computer graphic generated character.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like when I spoke to Aaron Sims. He's a makeup concept artist. Sorry, not a makeup. He's conceptual design. He voiced his appreciation of the new Yoda in the new Star Wars movies. For instance, and from a design point, yeah, he's right. The new Yoda was more expressive and things like that, but there was something about, I think it might have even just been the era it was released in, but even though it was a puppet with less expression, because it was there, it had depth, in the sense it had physical depth. There's just something about a lot of CGI characters I've seen in movies where they just don't convince me. They don't look like they have any weight in the screen. You know, they don't look like they have any presence there. You know, just fake. Yeah. And as much as the new Yoda to me looked great, like I said, you know, the original one to me was still a little bit better, and Aaron and I differ in that opinion. I think the new one was great. Okay, anyone listening, I'm not contradicting myself.
Of course, yeah.
I just do think...
like I said, that's why I do the same thing. I mean, I really do. I see the computer graphics work is fantastic, and it's getting better all the time.
Yeah.
But as a personal preference, and probably because I don't want to be put out of work, you know, I do like having guys in suits myself too.
So the ideal role for you one day will be to play Godzilla or something.
No, I wouldn't say ideals. I played a Godzilla-like character once in a movie called The Adventures of Galgameth. I was a big 50-foot, lizard guy. But I was a good guy. I was helping a prince save his kingdom back in the days of, horses and knights, and it went straight to video, by the way. Anyway, but that was those kind of suits are not. They're jobs that you take because you need to pay the mortgage, but it's not what I prefer.
You've also done let's see, with all your movies that you've done, one of the other ones that you've done is Mimic back in 1997.
And that's where I met Guillermo del Toro, actually.
Now, I heard horror stories about that movie, about Guillermo trying to make that movie.
Oh, did you? Well, no, see, I wasn't in on all the horror stories because they did principal photography on that up in Toronto, Canada, I believe. And then I was brought in just to do some reshoots for 3 days back here in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. So when I was brought in, I missed all the hellacious stories and all that.
I just mean that what I heard was that Guillermo had one vision, and the studio wanted him to shoot another.
Sure, and Guillermo is very happy to talk about that, right? that the movie that was released was not his original vision, and he would love to do a director's cut. To this day, I think he still would like to do that.
I liked Mimic. I didn't think it was a bad movie.
No, I didn't think it was bad either, right.
I think it's one of those movies that I do think, now that I've seen what Guillermo can do with Pan's Labyrinth and some others, I would love to see his vision of a Mimic movie on screen. I would, his full one. It's a concept that I think would be just fantastic, to be done properly.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. The relationship between creatives and business people at studios has always been a love-hate relationship. We all need each other, but we all think we can make the movie. We would love to make the movie without the other faction being there. Like the studio heads would love to make a movie without creatives because we cause them all kinds of grief and heartache. And likewise, it's the other way around. Like a creative team, like with director, actors, writers, all that, would love to make a movie without a studio breathing down their neck, right? But
of course,
they've got the money. We need them, and the talent lies with the creative side. So the studio needs us. So it's like, got to have each other, but there's not always a whole lot of love.
But not everybody's George Lucas and can fund their own trilogy.
Not everybody. That's right.
Now, you've also, getting away from your costume work, you've done a lot. I don't think people realize a lot when they think who you are. A lot of people I've mentioned your name to in the last, about the last 2 weeks or so, whatever it is, always come up with, he was Abe Sapien, or he was, we've got coming up, you're the Silver Surfer in the new Fantastic Four movie. Or that you played the imp in Doom,
The imps in Doom. Oh, don't remind me.
We'll talk about those soon, actually. But
good.
A lot of people don't realise that you've got quite the proficient little resume in character roles as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that when you've seen my face or something similar to my face on film, it's been in a role that might be a smaller part, or a large part in a smaller project that never made it as big as my other work.
Such big roles as let's say you're in Three Kings, apparently.
Oh, Three Kings. Well, then get that. And do you know what my credit in that is? I'm a dead Iraqi soldier. Right. So, in other words, in that movie, that was like the makeup, and I get referred for a lot of jobs by the makeup people because they've worked with me before and they've created things for me, and they refer me to the production company. Well, in that instance, they needed a dead Iraqi soldier to be lying in the rubble after an explosion had gone off like a day before, when Mark Wahlberg and George Clooney and one of the Ices,
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube. There's iced tea. There's vanilla ice. I don't know. I get all confused. And also Spike Jonze. Oh, I love Spike Jonze. When the four of them come upon this explosion in the desert, they're like looking at the rubble, and there lies a dead Iraqi soldier. Well, and they made mention of him, so they had to show a quick shot of him. Well, the special effects makeup team was Alterian Studios, headed up by Tony Gardner, somebody who I've worked with many times, and to make a silicone dummy of that thing would have cost about $20,000 by the time it was all done. Well, for me to go down to Arizona and go out to the desert and lie in the sand for 3 days while they shot that scene was cheaper. Yeah. So that's how I got that credit on my resume, was because Tony Gardner said, we got a perfect skinny guy we can build Iraqi parts on and make him look like a burn victim if you want or whatever, and throw him in the sand. And so so even though they paid me like I was a real actor and everything, and it was still cheaper than making a dummy. So yeah, I'm not. So that's why you don't find me talking about it much. Like, hey, don't forget, I was the dead Iraqi soldier.
Yeah, that's when you show your resume around, the very first thing that pops out on it.
Oh, of course. Yeah, and also because of a referral, so I worked with Spike Jonze yet again when he directed Adaptation.
Oh, yeah.
And Alterian Studios was hired to do the special effects makeup for that movie as well. And so they basically just put a wig and a beard on me and made me look like I was failing in health from dysentery. I played Augustus Marjorie, who was a famous orchid hunter in real history, who was mentioned in that book that the whole movie was being adapted from. And so they did like a flashback scene catching up on all of the orchid hunters who had been out in the field and died doing such. So I had this big death scene where a couple of orchid thieves had found me in a rainforest and beat me to death with clubs.
Oh God!
So yeah, so it was we were filming in a what would you call it, like a garden or an arboretum or a
arboretum or whatever it is.
Yeah, with lots of tropical plants. It was like here in Los Angeles, so it's a big tropical plant area of a special garden that they were throwing hose water up in the air just to make it look like it was raining and drippy, and it was freezing, and then getting beaten on by two stuntmen all day and dragged through the mud was just like wow. But it made for a fun little scene in the movie and a nice memory for me. And I love Spike Jonze. As a director, I think he's brilliant.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely damn good. But
also, another little cameo you'll see me in is in Mystery Men.
Yes, Pencilhead.
Another superhero movie. I was Pencilhead.
And what do you do?
Well, we erase crime because it was Pencilhead and son of Pencilhead. I had a 9-year-old boy with me that was playing my son, and we were both dressed in these yellow jumpsuits with erasers on our heads. It was what a ridiculous outfit.
Oh,
yeah. But again, that was just me, my own face and my own voice. Yay!
That was actually on TV here about 2 months ago, and I watched it. And,
was it?
And yeah, and to be honest with you, you actually really do stick out in that movie. That bit with Pencilhead in it is just that's people. I know people who love Mystery Men, and they do actually quote that thing. We erase crime.
Isn't that hysterical? Because I have had people when I've been doing a public appearance somewhere, someone will look at me and go, "Wait a minute, you were Pencilhead in Mystery Men!" Because people who are big fans of that movie, they know every inch of it, and it just baffles me when they recognize me.
Well, I'm not one of the people who memorizes like every line of the movie. I've probably disappointed all the geeks out there, and think self-admitted geeks out there that wish that I was. But the Mystery Men is one of those movies where I can watch it over and over. I
loved it.
Oh yeah, and I heard the rumor was that William H. Macy loves it and wanted a sequel. But, and if there are any lawyers for these people out there listening, I'm not slandering them.
Of course.
But the rumor is that Ben Stiller wasn't really too, keen on it. Wasn't really that happy with it. So.
And I would be the last one to hear anything about this. So, because I played Pencilhead, that doesn't put me high on the food chain there.
I imagine that you probably would have been, given that you're on screen for about 5 seconds, I imagine that it would have been a 1 day of shooting or something.
It ended up being 3 days, just because that whole the backyard party scene had lots of elements to it, and they weren't always sure when they were going to get to. And I showed up in the background a couple times too.
Yeah, you did.
of other shots in that same scene, so that's why day 2 and day 3 happened.
What was it like? Did you get to talk to any of the stars on that?
Yeah, just briefly. And Kel Mitchell, who played the Invisible Boy.
Oh, he was hilarious.
Hilarious, right? I had worked with him twice before that. I'm trying to think. Twice before that. I worked with him on his TV show Kenan and Kel. It was shown on the Nickelodeon channel here, which is like a kids network in the States. And I was a guest star on that show. I played a goofy waiter at a restaurant, and it was a great fun time for me. Well, it was a kids show, so the humor had to be very broad and physical, which I am anyway. So I had just a ball on that one. So that's where I got to know him, really. And then I bumped into him again on Rocky and Bullwinkle, another movie that you can see my face in. At the end of Rocky and Bullwinkle, there's 3 FBI agents that were co-workers with Piper Perabo, and we had been kidnapped and turned into vegetables, literally. There was a radish, a potato, and I was the carrot.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right, so we're wearing our business suits, but our heads are these vegetables. So, but then at the end of the movie, when the spell is broken and all goes back to normal, we morph back into being ourselves again. So that's where you get to see my face again as Agent Carrot, FBI Agent Carrot in Rocky and Bullwinkle. So Kenan and Kel both had like a cameo in that movie as well. And then so my third time being credited alongside of them Kel was in Mystery Men.
Okay. Now we've got a few questions from some people submitted some questions to me to ask. If you'd be nice enough to answer them.
Why, sure.
Okay, the first 2 or 3 are from Xavier LeBlanc. I'm sorry, Xavier, if I said it wrong.
Hello, Xavier.
he wanted to know, okay, question one is there any truth to the rumors you'll be playing multiple characters in Hellboy 2? And if so, which characters?
Yes, there is truth to that. It looks like I'm playing 3 characters for certain, possibly a 4th. Abe Sapien I will be reprising, of course. There is a new character that's sort of a dark angel. I think it's called the Angel of Death. Also playing a character called the Chamberlain, which is kind of like a gatekeeper to the chambers of one of the bad guys. And I think my favorite of these is of the new ones is the Angel of Death. It's a great moment in the film that I can't tell you anything about, but it's really going to like stick with you. Like, oh my gosh, yeah. And then the 4th character there's going to be like a scene or 2 in this movie where they have to have lots of critters and creatures walking around. That would include me in this other makeup, possibly. He's like a befuddled wizard with kind of pointy ears and kind of a saggy skin on his face.
That's pretty cool.
Not much different than I really look in real life. Yeah.
Okay, now his 3rd question, just in case the 2nd question didn't make it in, is his 3rd questions was, how would one go about becoming an extra in one of your future films? Well.
Aw, well that's very. I know that's a big compliment that anybody would want to be an extra in one of my films, and that would be a department that I don't handle myself personally.
Stalk
oftentimes,
him.
You could just simply stalk me. Yeah, no, I think wherever. Usually, the extras in our films are hired locally, whatever location we're shooting at. So, if something is filming here in Los Angeles. There are casting agencies called Central Casting, or I don't even know all the names of them, that have lots of extras registered with them, and that's the talent pool that they pull from. And I imagine that the same kind of thing exists in other countries when I'm filming, like in the Czech Republic or in Canada, or we'll be doing Hellboy 2 in Budapest in Hungary. Mm-hmm. So I imagine they have the same kind of setup there where they pull extras locally because that just makes it easier and cheaper for them, for the production. So it would be a matter of getting in with them, probably, more so than getting in with me.
Fair enough. So, okay, his last one was, are there any other upcoming projects you can tell us about? Now, I imagine Hellboy 2 obviously figures into this as well.
Sure, yeah. Besides Hellboy 2, that's in late May, and I'll be filming with that about 5 or 6 months. So that's pretty much the rest of my year. Then early 2008, I have an independent film on the schedule called Knock Knock. That's the working title right now. That might change. And I'm really excited about this one because it's a lower budget independent film. It's got enough of a budget to make a real movie. Mm-hmm. It's about the same budget that maybe Napoleon Dynamite had, if you've seen that.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and you can make a real movie for under $1 million. You can. So there's a writer-director fellow that I met when he was in film school. His name is Morgan Mead, and he has written a movie called Knock Knock at the moment. It might change, but with me as the lead character. He's a guy named Jerry who's going through a bit of a midlife crisis. He's in his 40s, and he is finding his life rather mundane and purposeless, and wants to reinvent himself and come alive again. So he kind of finds that through the goth kids or whatever the scene of the day is. If maybe it's the emo thing. We don't know, right? So the rewrites are going through right now, but it's going to be just a great time for me because I get to play a real human being character and be the lead of this movie.
So is it reminiscent of something like American Beauty, where Kevin, what was his name? Spacey. How he goes through not so much a midlife crisis, but he realizes that he wants to go back to something that he really enjoyed.
Yeah, some kind of an awakening, sure.
Yeah.
There is that, yes, and
not implying that you're ripping it off or anything like that.
No, of course. Well, this is way different than American Beauty. American Beauty was very artfully and kind of dark, even.
Yeah.
I don't know that this is going to have that same darkness to it, but I hope not. But his in the meantime, like his 20-something daughter comes home to live with him after estranged for quite some time, and finds this new condition, and wondering what the heck happened to her dad. So there's a lot of relationship twists and things throughout the story that I just really love and can't wait to play. So that's exciting for me. Also coming up, got a couple of things coming out on DVD soon. Aside from Pan's Labyrinth coming out on DVD in May 15th here in the States. Anyway.
Did you do audio commentary?
I did not do audio commentary on that, but Guillermo del Toro, our director, writer, did. And when he's doing a commentary on something, you don't need anybody else. I swear, that man is so entertaining and so full of life and colors, and you'll love him to pieces. When you hear him talk, you will fall in love with him.
Yeah, I've with audio commentaries, the strangest one I heard in the last 6 months was the Pirates of the Caribbean 2 one, where they had the writers doing the audio commentary, and I'm listening to this commentary, and it was so boring up until Davy Jones showed up on screen.
Right.
As soon as he shows up, near the end of the movie, halfway or whatever it is, it gets exciting. But before that, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why I still have yet to do an audio commentary. Maybe I'll get asked on one of these jobs, but it's okay, and it's okay. But you will see lots of me in the DVD bonus features for Pan's Labyrinth. A lot of the behind the scenes of how the Pale Man and how the Fawn characters came together, and I get interviewed quite a bit, and so I've got lots to say on the DVD.
Actually,
yeah.
Just going back to Pan's Labyrinth for a minute, we discussed how the Fawn came about, Pan came about. The Pale Man, he would have had to have had a lot of CGI applied to him, wouldn't he?
No, the Pale Man was also relatively CGI free. What they had to do there was again wipe away part of my real legs. If you look at the Pale Man again, you'll see his legs are bony, skinny.
They're bones with just skin hanging off them. Yeah.
Right, because those bones with skin hanging off were connected to the front of my legs that were covered in green screen-colored leotard. So that was simple enough. They just kind of wiped away my leg, and I pushed forward the practical ones that you saw in the film.
The one thing I do have to ask you is when they do that, do you know much about the process of when they do the effect? Because you're wearing the green leotard, obviously. Do they do 2 runs of the exact shot and then match them up, or do you know? They'll have to do what they call a plate shot, where they film the set that you were walking past or walking through from the same camera angle, locked off, so that they can get the backdrop. With the information that's behind my real legs, they have to get that on film. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I just wasn't sure if they digitally recreated it or not.
No, they do a combination of the two. From what I understand, I'm not a technical person, so I'm the last one that can answer this for you. But but I know that whenever I'm doing something that involves CG work, they do one run with me, and they take me out and do the camera move again without anybody in the shot. Okay. So they can get all of the information that belongs behind that character, the whole set, the whole props, everything that's on film. They can now paint that into where my legs were. If that makes any sense.
No, it does. Makes complete sense. The moving on to the next question, though, we'll come back to your career, I promise.
Okay.
I just figured Devlin Lemoyne has one question for you that you might like to answer. How did you enjoy working with Ivana Baquero and Guillermo del Toro?
Well, first of all, I'll answer the Guillermo part first. Guillermo is a director that I have now worked with 3 times. Hellboy 2 will be our 4th time together, and he has other projects coming down the pike that are all, as he says, he will always have a monster on his call sheets, which means that he plans to keep me employed for as long as he's making movies. So I just adore him, and
So you have a real friendship as opposed to just a working one.
Exactly. I love his loyalty, and when he likes working with somebody, he will remember them again and again.
It sounds like something Tarantino does, where
a lot of directors do that. A lot of directors find that that when a relationship works, then you want to recreate that again and again. And so Guillermo, I just love that he respects my work as an actor, and I respect him so much as a director. He is such a brilliant storyteller, and if there's a lot of directors who might want to work with me again and again, but when it's one like that, who I respect so much, and whose work, when he's left alone to do his own creating, he comes away with Oscar nominations. You know?
Oh yeah, he deserved that and more for Pans. That was just.
I will agree with you. That's just such an honor and privilege to be in his camp, honestly, and he's just delightful to work with on set. We have a great communication. He doesn't have to really direct me much when we're on set because we've done a lot of that pre-shooting. Where he'll sit down and talk with me and give me character quirks and story points that he wants made and that kind of thing, and then I get to go home and work on it, and he basically trusts what I'm going to do with it. So
do you know he did something in Pan? Sorry to cut you off there.
Uh-huh.
He did something in Pan that I have never seen done as convincingly on screen in any movie.
Uh-huh.
When the captain gets his cheek sliced open.
Wasn't that brilliant?
That is...
Yeah.
I don't know if that was digital or practical, but it was 100% convincing.
I know. Yeah, it was.
And then seeing him push it and everything and play with it in the mirror, I was just sitting here going, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Maybe
Again,
Christopher Nolan should take hints on this to do the Joker.
Right. Well, right. And I'm going to give. There was again some computer graphics used in that, like especially when the blood was happening, like after he would drink his alcohol to soothe his pain, and the blood would come creeping through. That was a brilliant effect.
Oh, it was.
The makeup effects done by DDT Efectos Especiales, the people who created the Pan and the Pale Man, their work is absolutely stunningly brilliant, and that's why they got the Oscar for Best Makeup.
It was just like... So the actual cheek cutting, I mean, obviously where she cuts him, that was digital, you couldn't have done that practical.
Sure, well, you can't really cut the guy, yeah.
There's been, I heard about Vincent D'Onofrio being right into the whole thing with Full Metal Jacket.
Well, all right.
Yeah, but...
I don't know.
No, that's cool, method actor and all that, but the whole cheek cutting, where you see him like playing with his cheek and everything, that was all digital, was it?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know. I didn't get the whole break. What was practical and what was visual effect on that particular scene when he's sewing himself back together again and all that.
Oh god, that's painful.
I think I know, huh? I think my impression was that it was mostly practical. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just amazing how it looked. That's all. So.
Yeah.
No, but the let's see. Now
Ivana Baquero.
Yeah.
The part two of that question. I just absolutely adore Ivana Baquero. When I first met her, she was 11 years old when we filmed a little over a year ago, and I'm meeting this 11-year-old girl, and she's just gorgeous. And so looking at her, I'm like, "Well, hello there, little Ivana Baquero." But then you're looking at her face and into those eyes of hers, and that's when I kind of tilted my head and I said, "Oh my goodness, you're an 80-year-old woman." Inside, she has this old, mature soul about her, and those eyes read and carry the weight of the world in them, don't they?
Oh yeah, the thing with her, when she was talking about her father had died and everything, and she was living with her mother and they went to live with the captain.
Yeah.
Just looking at her, she looked like she was missing out on her childhood.
Something, right? Exactly. She totally and she has a great family life. So she has not had a rough childhood.
Yeah.
But she is a testament to her acting abilities. That girl took on Ophelia, just hook, line, sinker, all of it.
Do you know one of the most amazing things about her though is the fact that a lot of actors, when you're trying to present an ambiguous thing like, is this really happening? Is this really even partially happening? A lot of actors can't convey that. And at the end of the movie where she's laying on the ground, and sorry to anyone who hasn't seen it, but we are going to talk spoilers.
Okay.
Where she's laying on the ground and she's dying. Just seeing how she's envisaging, I don't know if it was in her head or whatever, she still manages to convey this fact that, is she really at this place, or is this just in her head, or could this really be happening? It's, if you look
I think the end of the movie is so brilliantly filmed because you're left not knowing for sure if that was real or not. And,
of course.
And me personally, I want to believe it was real. After going on that ride with her, I want her to have that. I do.
Oh,
I do indeed.
Yeah, just the end of the movie, I'm going, oh, she has to go.
No, Ivana was truly one of the most professional and focused actresses I've ever worked with at any age, let alone 11-year-old girl. I really, really enjoyed my time with her.
Now, I read an interview with Guillermo where he said that you don't speak any Spanish, or you didn't anyway before.
Not on the no.
Do you actually speak any now?
That is correct. Well, the voice that you hear in the movie, I will go ahead and tell you that it even though I could have affected that sound sort of like soy un fauno vuestro más humilde súbdito majestad. I could have come close. Why, thank you. But what you end up hearing in the end is a voice actor that had to clean my dialogue, because there were some nuances in the language that I wasn't going to be able to hear. I was told, terrified by the Spanish. I was, oh, you've got to be kidding me! I can't pull this off. How am I gonna memorize dialogue in a language I don't speak? So I told Guillermo of my fears, and he told me, oh, don't worry, we can get someone to dub over you. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's great, and it's comforting, but I still have some lip sync. And he said, you can count to 10 for all I care. Just give me the right pauses and the right move. I'll figure it out. So I was like, oh, yeah. But, and that was comforting, but by the same token, I couldn't leave him with my mouth saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, and then trying to dub over that, that would have looked like, that would have looked like a...
You've also got Ivana looking at you thinking, what the hell's he on about?
Exactly, right. How was she supposed to answer that, right? So I knew that it would work better for the entire process if I just buckled down and learned the lines. And so I did. I went off the script, the page. I learned the dialogue. I had an English translation so that I knew what I was and what the scene was playing out and what the lines meant. And then I figured out the sentence structure is different, so I knew what words to punch and what not to, and where to put the emphasis on this or that. And I pretty much did that without a coach. My makeup artist, David and Monte, would very much during the makeup process. We had 5 hours every day, so if I had a dialogue-heavy scene that day, I would be running my dialogue with them, and they would correct my pronunciation of certain words if they had to.
How would you handle that? I mean, obviously you're used to hours upon hours, but I hear about people who have to spend between 1 and 6 hours in the chair of getting ready. But how do you handle that?
You just find your happy place, and you know that it's a part of the gig going in. You have to.
Yeah, I'd personally get like an Xbox in front of me and let them go ahead,
Right. We do pop a DVD in. We do listen to music. We tell stories and laugh a lot. And it helps when that all these makeup people, every makeup person I've ever worked with that does prosthetics and creature work, are very colorful, humored people, and we always get along, and they become your best friends and like your family while you're filming, because you need each other. And so that was definitely the case with the folks from DDT, and I hope that they're going to stay in my life forever. I adore these people. And so we just, when the film was wrapped and we were done, that last day saying goodbye, we were all in tears because we didn't want to leave each other. So how do you spend your 5 hours? Well, you spend it well. You spend it getting to know each other. It's wonderful.
I really hope Guillermo keeps using Ivana in his movies. She was just, like I said, wonderful.
She is going to be a movie star, and I told her so.
Oh, mate, going by how she was in that movie, I have no doubt. I mean, Dakota Fanning and everything, I think they're fine, but they're not. Yeah. They don't come across to me as real actors. I'm not bagging Dakota there.
Sure.
She's a child that, everybody could say, oh, you're picking on a kid, but I'm sorry, but Charlotte's Web and all that, not really 100% convinced by, and War of the Scientologists or whatever it was called, War of the Worlds.
War of the Scientologists. Oh goodness, yeah.
It was just basically put Dakota on screen, point and scream.
Sure. Well, and those big epic movies are, again, when it's a studio produced piece of work like that, there is only so much that you have control over creatively.
By the way, any Scientologists listening, I fully meant to offend you, so thank you.
Right now, I need a disclaimer statement. This does not always reflect the views of the guest.
No, he's playing it safe. I'll just have them turn up at night, Travolta will fly them over and they'll club me to death.
Right.
But basically, if we can, there's more to you, like we said before, than working in a suit. You are possibly the most convincing suit, actor in America, I suppose, but the world,
very sweet of you.
the world,
Thanks.
I suppose. But when it comes to working on a movie where you pick up a script and you go, oh, holy crap, I don't have to put on prosthetics.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
I do love that. I do. Well, in fact, that brings me back to something else I have coming out soon on DVD. A movie called The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which is a remake of an old silent classic horror film that was a German-made expressionist film back in 1919. So it's really old. I was offered the role of Cesare, who is the somnambulist sleepwalker who does all the killing in the movie. When you watch the original film, in fact, that's what I would. I think they were going to be releasing this remake in a box set with the original disc of the original film.
Ooh.
So what I would suggest you do is watch the original film first and get the whole art direction, and it was groundbreaking for its day. The storytelling had a surprise ending. It had art direction and the set pieces that were so like these weird animals, and it was very daring art. And also the acting for that day, especially for the silent film era, was more toned down than that over-the-top thing you were so used to back in that era.
Yeah.
So I was very impressed with the first. Doing the remake of it, we all filmed in black and white, and we were all wearing costumes and makeup that were very true to the original film and the original character. It was more of a homage to the original film, more so than a remake, I would say, because we were all filmed in front of green screen and then plopped into the original film, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Our director was able to make matte shots off of the original film. Because back then, especially in silent films, they did lots of master wide shots, and they would linger on them for a long time. So it's kind of like you're watching a play.
That sounds like that's the first time that's been done.
And as far as I know, this hasn't been done before, where they do a remake and use the original film footage as our backdrops, and we would have props and furniture that we had to sit on and use in the foreground, but what you saw behind us was the original film. So that was fascinating to me. The whole process was amazing, and seeing it finished product, it is a beautiful film. It's got dialogue now, and so it's a talkie now. My character of Cesare only speaks once, so he's pretty much still the most truly silent film character in the movie, which I love. I love being able to try to fill the shoes of Conrad Veidt, who played Cesare the first time, and he was an amazing actor. So it was just such a challenge for me, and I hope that those horror film purists of the original film will be able to watch ours with an open mind and to enjoy it, and to you actually get more of the story because it's a talkie with dialogue. It helps clear up a lot of the plots and a lot of the, because in a silent film you've got like 5 minutes of people ranting and raving silently with music playing behind them, and then you get a dialogue card that says "Yes, mother," and you're like, wait, they said a lot more than that. So in our case, you'll get the whole story now.
Yeah, no,
so that was.
The one thing I had to ask you was, have you ever actually, like I ask this of most of the people that come onto the show, have you ever actually sat down and watched something and sort of like, how would I put this, forgotten that you'd done it? Like come across something oh shit, I was in that, wasn't I?
In fact, it happened just the other day. I was flipping channels on the TV. Yes. In fact, and here's the sad thing is I did this less than a year ago. I was flipping channels. Yeah, well, you know the Dukes of Hazzard, right? The TV show then turned into a movie with Jessica Simpson and Sean William Scott and
Johnny Knoxville.
the guy from Johnny Knoxville, right? Well, they did another Dukes of Hazzard movie that's the prequel. It's called Dukes of Hazzard: The Beginning.
Oh God!
And,
how original.
Yeah, and so it's all the Dukes. It's showing them as teenagers before they became the Dukes of Hazzard, and this movie shows how that happened. So it was made basically for a straight-to-DVD run, and oddly enough, it showed up on the ABC Family Channel here in the States. So I'm just flipping through channels, and I'm like, wait a second. That's April Scott. She played Daisy Duke as a teenager. Oh, this is that movie I did. Oh my gosh! And the very next scene was that I was in. I'm like, that's me. Well, there I am. and again, it was one of those things that I think I forgot about it on purpose because I'm not going to lie to you, it's a trashy film. It's like it's showing like
when we saw
Southerners.
When we saw the listing for Dukes of Hazzard, the prequel thing, we were like, wasn't one bad enough?
Yeah, and the fan talk back online has not been pleasant, and the reviews are very less than favorable. But you get, it's one of those jobs, one of those films you just kind of have to unhook your brain and go on the goofy ride that it takes you on.
Oh, yeah.
So of course it's not my favorite thing I've ever done, and I just had a cameo. Again, one scene where you'll see me like wearing a trucker hat and talking with an accent like this. And I'm done. I'm out of there. So, I can't take credit if the movie fails or succeeds.
Well, I've actually angered a few people in my time with my opinion on movies, in the sense that the online community at large doesn't seem to understand that you should see something before you judge it.
Sure.
I'm not saying say that you love it. I'm saying that you shouldn't really say something's crap until you've actually watched it. And
sure.
Not a lot of people seem to share my opinion.
I do. I would. I rarely will critique a film. I never do. I'll tell you, I haven't seen it yet. I have no opinion.
Yeah, my co-founder of Virtual Chainsaw, Matt Folwell, he and I have differing opinions on the new movie Day of the Dead, the 2007 remake. Whilst there's a lot going against it in the way of bad publicity and everything, I'm willing to wait and see how it turns out. I'm not saying this is nothing against you, Matt, at all. This is just saying that Matt's not really that, how to put it, I think he's been burnt by remakes too many times.
Oh, right.
I think that's what it is, and I can understand that point of view. I think after a while you go, another remake. No offense to you for your movie, because 1919 is a fair bit of time to qualify.
That's a long time ago, right? We're not remaking Superman Returns already, right? Yeah.
They're remaking Escape from New York.
Oh, really? See that? Yeah. Again, that's probably not been long enough.
Yeah, and they're using Gerard Butler from 300.
Oh, are they?
That was on Ain't It Cool News this morning. And I was looking at that and I'm going, I just, I understand an actor is an actor for a reason. They can expand their roles and they can change who they are, kind of thing. But really, Escape from New York. If they turn it into a straight up action movie, they're going to lose a lot of the appeal of it, But with you, have you ever actually watched something? Being a man who you rely on your body for your work a lot of the time. From what I've seen, you rely, because you're heavily under prosthetics for the majority of your roles, I suppose.
I would say, sure.
Do you ever watch something and think, oh God, those prosthetics aren't that hard to do a better performance from, or something like that? I could have done that better.
As far as go, no. You know what? I thankfully, I'm not one of those actors that critiques other actors and goes, "Oh, he sucked." Yeah, I can't do that. But I think it's basically out of fear that you said some very nice things about me, and lately after the Pan's Labyrinth thing, especially, I've had lots of more reviews of my performance than anything I've ever done before. And I've been equated with Lon Chaney and Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff, which has been really very kind. But the press has been very nice to me, and the fans have been delightful to me.
The press is also a hideous bitch goddess. Remember that.
Well, I guess right when they're not on your side, maybe, I don't know. But with all this, I still have a fear that I suck. So, and my big fear now is that following Pan's Labyrinth, I don't know. Everyone's going to be watching me a little bit more closely, and my potential to fall on my face is going to be really loud. So that's why, being in a vulnerable position myself, I find it very difficult to critique other actors. I'm a really good audience member. I tend to go on the ride that you're giving me usually, and I'll buy it if you're selling it. I'll usually buy it.
Well, when you say about worrying about yourself sucking, one of the things when we interviewed Zach Ward, Zach actually finished a movie with Kevin Kline a little while back. I can't remember the title of it, but it's basically Zach plays someone who's involved in the child sex trade. And,
oh dear.
Yeah, well, he said that the film festival they went to, that he got, how to put it, I think he said when he was going up on stage, he got, I don't know if he was booed or something or whatever, but it was a boo at the character, not at him.
Right, yeah.
And he said at that point he knew that he'd done his role properly, he'd
done
it.
Exactly.
But he said that he one day was talking to Kevin Kline in his trailer, and Kline was going over the thing, and he was going, do you think that I delivered it well? Did I do it properly? Did I suck? And I just, Kline is one of my personal favorites. I absolutely loved the movie Life as a House. I loved him in the
that's one of my favorite movies ever. I love that.
When Hayden Christensen got away from those bloody Star Wars movies, he finally showed that he can act properly. I thought he was actually very good in that movie. But
he was very good in that movie.
But Kevin Kline, seeing him act in that, A Fish Called Wanda, any other movie you want to name, he's fantastic.
He's fantastic.
Like I said to Zach, he made In and Out. Him and Tom Selleck made.
Oh, stop it! Wasn't it great? I loved In and Out. Yeah,
where he starts dancing was just an absolute. I think we're in the cinemas and we were amongst the people laughing the loudest, and we couldn't stop. It was just absolutely brilliant. But to hear that somebody like Kevin Kline, who I always thought was just an acting god more or less, is sitting there worried that he sucks, and I'm going, "You kidding?"
No, we all worry about it. I mean, most actors who you admired do worry about that. When I did Hocus Pocus with Bette Midler, for instance, and she has her moments. The critics have loved her in some things and hated her in others, but she's also gotten her Oscar nominations and her Golden Globe awards and all that.
I'd still love to talk to her. I think she looks like a wonderful person.
Absolutely delightful to work with when I did a Hocus Pocus with her. But she's another person. She does not watch herself ever. She doesn't watch the movies she's been in. She can't, because she'll criticize herself too badly, and then she can't. She's ruined for the next job. So
that was a scary ass movie for kids.
Did you think so?
I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing because a lot of kids' movies that are coming out these days. I've got a 3-year-old boy, and I'm going to be introducing him to a lot of the movies I watched as a kid because I've sat there and watched a lot of these modern ones, and I think that people might have gotten to the point where they think, we have to protect these kids too much. I watched movies like Something Wicked This Way Comes and movies like that when I was, a little boy, and scary ass for a kid. But
right.
I don't really see much in the way of that caliber, in the sense of, preparing them for other genres. Something Wicked, for instance, prepares you for the horror genre, lets you know there are scary movies out there, things like that. If we can can we talk Hellboy 2 again?
Let's talk Hellboy 2, and I think that I'm after Hellboy 2, I'm gonna have to bid you adieu soon because we do have a birthday party to get to at some point.
Oh, okay. No, that's okay. We'll just.
But yes, Hellboy 2. Can I tell you right now how excited I am about this movie?
Go ahead.
Reading the script, it was such a page turner for me, and I'll tell you, Abe Sapien has been given a lot more to do. You'll see a lot more of him, so that makes me very happy. You'll get to see Abe wielding a weapon. You'll get to see him with hands-on with bad guys. You'll get to see him a lot more buddy time on screen with Hellboy, which is really what cements that movie for me.
Okay.
As a comic book movie franchise goes, this one is special to me because of the personalities and humor that's built into it.
Yeah.
You get to know these personalities so well, and in this part 2 script, there's Abe and Hellboy time that you'll just love. Absolutely, it's my favorite scene is with Hellboy, and I can't tell you anymore, but it's going to be great.
So there's a lot of bantering going back and forth between the two.
Oh, it's delicious, yeah. and then Abe also, I'm not sure about this, but I think he might have a love interest.
Ooh, a goldfish or a person?
Yeah. Well, again, I don't want to give anything away that I'm not supposed to, but let me put a question back to you. If Abe Sapien was going to fall in love with something or someone, it would probably be not quite human all the way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll leave it there.
Oh, that's actually quite interesting. I think the one of the other things that I want to quickly ask you before you do have to head off is about with Abe Sapien in the movie. What if he's going to be having? Have you discussed fighting styles for him or things like that?
We have not gotten into that just yet. I believe that he has a fighting style called the Way of the Water, and something that we'll have to be creating from scratch. maybe I think if you can picture Abe, though, Abe is very graceful and very fluid, and I would like to. That's something that was kind of a request of mine before. I never wanted to see Abe like throw a punch at someone's face like a conventional punch would be.
Yeah.
That's more Hellboy's job.
Yeah, Abe seems more how would I put this? Doesn't seem as brutal. No. Hellboy looks like he's brute force. Abe looks like he's something else.
Right. Abe needs to be more graceful, more balletic in his more like that sort of fighting dance style called capoeira.
Oh yeah.
Something like that, or something like Tai Chi, or something that like that.
Is what I'm going to guess. Nice.
Yeah, but this is all the beginning stages, and what you see in the movie, I have no idea. I have no idea where we're going.
What are they aiming as for a release date for Hellboy 2?
I believe it is at the moment summer, like maybe I think August of 2008.
Okay, so mid next year. We've got about
so
nearly 18 months or whatever.
Yeah, we have a good long time to wait for that one. Yeah.
Oh, bugger. Oh, well, just have to hope for Batman soon and Transformers mid-year. And
That's right.
Something comes along every couple of weeks. Okay, well, just quickly, one more question. What would you say in the last year or so has been your favorite movie that you've seen?
In the last year or so, let's see. Okay, I can tell you. Aside from Pan's Labyrinth, honestly, if I wasn't in Pan's Labyrinth, I would tell you you must see it. I just loved it. I cry every time. I've seen it 5 times now in its entirety, and I cry every time. So aside from that, though, because I was in it, that disqualifies that one. Little Miss Sunshine rocked my world.
That was brilliant, wasn't it?
Brilliant writing, brilliant acting, filming, editing. I loved that movie.
Everyone in it was just perfect, and
everyone was perfect.
I did not
so well defined.
I couldn't even. When I was told that the grandfather was what's his name again?
Alan Arkin.
Someone told me that was Alan Arkin. I'm like, get out.
No, it was. He won the Oscar for it.
I'm used to him from the old, what was the medical show he was on?
No.
Chicago Hope, I think it was, or ER or something.
That's the different Arkin. That's a different Arkin.
Oh, is that a different Arkin? Is it?
Yes, there's Alan Arkin, and that was. Oh gosh, I forget the younger one's name. He is younger though.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that really didn't look like.
Well, it's going to bother me now. We got to look that up now. Everybody, go look up who played that doctor in Chicago Hope with the last name Arkin.
Okay. I think it started today as well. So anyway, just remember not to hang up.
Adam Arkin.
Adam Arkin. Okay.
I think that's it.
Remember not to hang up when I say bye. By the way, I'll just keep you on the line for about 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, Doug Jones.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me. This has been a great, very comfortable chat with you. Thank you.
That's great.
And I'm waving hello to all your listeners. Thank you so much for your time, too.
Yep. Thank you to Xavier LeBlanc, Despin, and Devlin Lemoyne for their questions. They were absolutely fantastic. And we'll extend an invite to you to come back again sometime if you can. I understand you're going to be busy with Hellboy 2 and all that, obviously.
Yeah, I would love to come back and talk anytime.
Yep, so we'll ring up, we'll tell Ron Perlman and you to get your asses over. So
Okay, it's a deal.
I'd love to do that with Ron, but unfortunately he's probably a little bit busy.
Yeah, a little, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, we shall catch up with you at a later date, okay?
All right, it's a deal. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot, Doug. See ya.
Bye.